What's up? How's everybody doing? Okay, this is the first one of these, and we're gonna see how how we like this. So, happy summer, everybody! I hope that you are having a good summer so far, and you're getting into the mix of things, and you know everything's going well so far. I got to get out, I guess, 2 days ago, and hit the pool for the first time, so that was nice, and it actually felt like this is summer, and that was good. It's an interesting time um, in the business that I have in terms of selling software and things like that. Everybody has their busy seasons, everybody has their slow seasons. Our slow season is typically summer, and especially right at the beginning of summer. And the reason for a lot of that is a lot of our core customer base. They're going on vacations. They're not sitting in front of a computer. They're not in that mode of business building and things like that. And so the negative behind that, and I think this is part of what I wanted to do this daily thing is the negative behind that is you kind of get in this mode of did everybody forget about me? Does anybody care what we're doing anymore? Even though I've been doing this over 10 years now, it never fails this time of year, even though I know it's coming, even though I know it's good that all of our customers get a break and they get to get away from their computers. Every single year, I get in that mode of questioning myself, and if I'm doing something wrong, even though I know exactly what's coming. And so, if you're somebody that's in a business right now and you feel like you're not connecting with folks, yeah, it's part of it. Maybe it's part of the seasonality of things. And so, just passing it out there. Don't ever freak out. It's just part of it. And those of us that are sort of nuts when it comes to building business, we all go through that. And just it's part of it. It's part of it. So if you're welcoming on the live stream today, welcome. I'm glad you're here. What this is serving for me to have in a very selfish way is I wanted to do this thing called the Daily Progress at least through the summer, and I'm going to try to get on here through the week every single day and update on kind of what I'm doing and where we're going with things. And so, what I wanted to do today is I wanted to talk about the podcast that we've been doing for the last little bit and sort of where we're going with it. Over the last, I've been doing this podcast, the Serial Progress Seeker podcast, forever. And I have been at the top of the iTunes charts with it. I have been where I feel like nobody's listening. I have been where, I feel like, I can't get consistent with it. And over the last probably 6 to 12 months, my goal is to get super consistent with this podcast, which has given me so much. And I feel like sometimes I've been doing the Serial Progress Seeker podcast or a version of it for a while, and it's given me a lot in terms of business growth, in terms of connections, and I've not given what I needed to back to it, which is the consistency. And just to kind of give anybody that actually cares about what we're doing an inside view as to kind of what's always going on in my head is like I love marketing, I love entrepreneurship, um, but seasons of life sort of put you in different spots and what you want to do and how you want to do it and how you want to like give your focus changes. And so over the last probably year, I've really kind of got in my head that I love marketing, I love entrepreneurship. But where do I want to land my focus for the next 10 years? I know kind of what I've been doing the 10 years previous. I loved all of it. I love our software platforms. I love everything we're building right now. But what's sort of the centerpiece of everything and where do I focus my time? And so over the last little bit, kind of what I've really locked in on is like, what can I see myself doing for the next 10 years and really enjoying and being like locked in with hey, what's up, David? How are you? Being like locked in more with. And what I've really sort of, kind of hit the last little bit is of all the software platforms that we've got and that we've built and that I love running, what is the centerpiece? And it's podcasting for me. Everything that I do sort of like lives in podcast. And I think that the thing that I love about podcasting is that it's incredibly easy to do. It's easy to get started, and it's like a ticket to everything you would possibly want in your business. Hey, Michael, what's going on? Michael, my podcast, if you go to iTunes or anywhere where you listen to podcasts, pretty much, if you search for Serial Progress Seeker, spelled like this, you can find the podcast that's there, or you can go to serialprogressseeker.com. If you're on our YouTube, I see you're coming in from YouTube. If you're on our YouTube, you can click into our main profile, and there's a link to the website there, and you can go check everything out there. So I'd love for you to go listen, man, and that'd be awesome. This is why I love these live streams too, because we get to communicate in a fun way, and that's why I'm going to try to do this every day, at least for a couple minutes. So we really decided to go all in and be super consistent with our podcast. Most of my team that I've had over the last few years, we've moved them over to being very podcast specific. And, we're getting really locked into, doing the podcast in a big way. The other side of it is along the way over the last 10 years, whether I've been consistent or not with the podcast, one of the things that we've really kind of locked in with is how much we love talking about podcasting. And so one of the core focuses of Serial Progress Seeker as a brand over the next little bit is to be able to help people sort of ramp themselves into podcasting and kind of get them locked in as to how the podcasting fits with their business. And so one of the things that immediately strikes me about podcasting is, even though I have been very successful with podcasting over the years, podcasting to me is not something that is specifically about, hey, Nassim, good to see you. Hey, Beckley, how you doing? Podcasting is not something to me where you do it because you want to be in the top of the iTunes charts. Podcasting to me is not something where I have to have, 100,000 listeners every episode for the podcast that we do, for the podcast that we help people do. And what really occurred to me is that a lot of people out there don't understand how beneficial a podcast can be, even if you have a small group of people listening to you. And so one of my missions, and where I've really decided to put a lot of my focus in the next little bit, specifically with the Serial Progress Seeker brand and what we're doing here, is to help people kind of understand how to get into that the right way. And so, what we have been doing and where we're shifting, if you followed, there's been this massive sort of reconstruction of the Serial Progress Seeker brand over the last, I would say, month. And not that we are not still doing a lot of the things that we've always done, but we've niched down essentially. The thing that we always tell people is niche down, keep niching down, and keep getting closer to something that is more definable for people the second that they look at what you're doing. And so over the years, I've been, in terms of digital marketing, I've been somebody that's been super into all the things. And I love all the things about digital marketing. But what I really wanted to do is I really wanted to get more specific on things. And so a lot of where we're going with Serial Progress Seeker in the next few months and what this is going to be a documentation of as we go along the way, which, like I said, right now, I have no idea this is going to be the name of it, but I'm calling it the Daily Progress right now. Terrible name. Terrible name. But we'll deal with it, right? So the idea is oh, nice. I love it. Falling from Zombie. That's awesome. I'm glad to have you, and make sure that if send me a friend request if we're not officially locked in as friends on Facebook or wherever you guys are coming from today. Make sure you're doing that. And that's my thing. I feel if you have a small business, and I mean small business, whether you have a brick and mortar, or you help brick and mortar businesses, like maybe you have a digital agency, or you have a business that's completely online. A podcast is one of the best ways that I know that anybody on the planet, no matter their skill level, can get started and grow what they're doing without having to be overly technically savvy. And kind of where we've decided to put a lot of our effort in the next little bit with our podcast, the Serial Progress Seeker podcast, as well as a lot of the things that we teach on our website, is to help people get into that and figure out how to use a podcast to grow your existing business, or, it'd be its own standalone business without having to have 1 million listeners. Because you can really monetize a podcast and make money from a podcast with very few listeners if you know what you're doing and you do it the right way. And so what I would like to document here, on our YouTube channel, on Facebook over the next few months, is I really want to document kind of the transition that we're going from a company that's been very entrepreneurial, broad, and done a lot of things, and how we're kind of niching down into something that we've been very good at for a very long time and we've known a lot about, but something we want to get even better at. And so, coming from a humble place, I decided, hey, I could spend the rest, the next 10 years of my life podcasting and be very, very happy, especially if we get really consistent with it. And I also feel like one of the easiest ways for a lot of people that are looking to use digital marketing to grow their existing business or to leave, a job and to start their own business, podcasting is absolutely where the biggest opportunity is. And so, what I'm going to be documenting over the next 3 months with this daily is I want to sort of get into, how we're rebranding the company. It's not a full rebrand; it's just a little bit of a more specificity to it, and how we're kind of putting ourselves in a position to where we get to be focused more, and we get to have more fun with the podcast, and we get to kind of come together in a different way. So I say all that to say this is number one. I hope not to let you down. I hope to be doing this almost daily. I'm sure I'll miss here and there because things get busy. Like I've got 8 things I've got to do after this today, but I'm going to come in. I'm going to talk about kind of what we're doing at Serial Progress Seeker. I'm going to talk about all the other things that sort of fly at me, and my hope is that this is useful for anybody else that's sort of out there trying to build a business, trying to build a brand. And not only do you get to see what we're trying to teach at Serial Progress Seeker, which is very podcast focused, but you sort of get to see the behind the scenes, like what's happening when the recording is it's not recording, it's live, right? And so what's going through my head daily is we're sort of building out this new sort of feeling and vibe in our business, and that's what I want to bring across to you. And so I'll be broadcasting as much as I possibly can, at least a couple minutes every day over the summer. That's my goal anyway. I'm sure I'll miss, but we're going to try to get as many in as we possibly can over the next little bit. We'll be coming out to Facebook. We'll be coming out to YouTube. I'm sure we'll add some networks as we go, so that we can, be in the places where you normally listen to stuff. And every single day, I'm going to be talking about kind of what I'm going through as the founder and CEO of Serial Progress Seeker, what my team is doing, and kind of how everything comes together from behind the scenes. What I would love for you to do, this is quote unquote the call to action that you're supposed to give at the end of everything you do. I know, right? But what I'd love for you to do is go listen to Serial Progress Seeker. Specifically, do this for me. Go listen to episode 100. Episode 100 was an episode that we just put out a couple weeks ago. Actually, 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half. I mean, it's not been that long. But go listen to that. And we're talking about what the podcast is, what, kind of where it is, and why, why the podcast is so important to us. And I think, you kind of get a sense of who we are, but where we're going. And in the next little bit, the Serial Progress Seeker podcast is going to be very, very focused on how to run a very good podcast, how to make a living with a podcast, even if you don't have tons and tons of people that are listening to every single show. You don't need that to make a living. And that's something that we really want to put in front of people, that it can grow the business that you already have, a podcast. It can, you can build an entire business from a podcast and monetize that way. But what are we doing behind the scenes to get out really, really good stuff? And along the way, I'd love to hear from you. What questions do you have, whether it pertains to the podcast, whether it pertains to podcasting, or just being a digital entrepreneur that works from home or on the road all the time? I'm either here at my house in this, studio, or I am on the road kind of working from a backpack. I don't have to go to a traditional job, which I'm very happy about. I haven't done that for over 10 years. And myself and my team have sort of built this life where we get to be a lot more mobile. And, I can answer questions about that too, of anybody that's kind of looking to get into that. So this is the Daily Progress. Yes, the podcast is on Spotify, Michael. You can go check it out there. You can search for Serial Progress Seeker. And like I said, we're there. You can listen to any of the episodes there. And I like I said, most of the places you can listen to podcasts, we're there. If there's something you find where you can't find Serial Progress Seeker, the podcast, let me know, and we'll try to get it up on that network for you guys. So anyways, this is Daily Progress number 1. I hope to have a lot of these for you over the next little bit. It's something I'm going to hold myself to do so that, I can be a little more, out there and really giving behind the scenes. There's far too many people that say, I really don't know what you do for a living, Ben. And I would love to put it out there as to what actually goes on through the day when you're running a business that is centered around a podcast, when you're running a business that's centered around how we monetize our podcast. And I would love to do that for you. So thanks for watching Daily Progress #1. I will be back tomorrow or the next day where we will talk even more about what we're doing. I got a really, really busy day tomorrow with a lot of webinars and a lot of things that we're doing with our existing customer base. So I'm going to try to squeeze it in somewhere tomorrow. But if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you on Thursday. And we're just going to be kind of doing this. So I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed the first one. And hopefully I didn't ramble too much. All right. Be good. Take care of yourself. And I'll see you on the next Daily Progress.